Hi, everybody. I'm Kristi Whitfield. I'm the Director of the Department of Small and Local Business Development, and you are watching our Build Back Better series. And today, I am really excited to be joined by Dan Simons, and he is the owner of Founding Farmers, and he is going to talk to us about his pivot, which has been pretty exciting, and I'm going to let him talk about it. So, Dan, welcome, and thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Director. Thanks for having me here on your show to talk about what we're doing at Founding Farmers and with our restaurant group and the way we're just trying to stay connected to the city and find ways to do good and survive and then, put all of us in a position, one day to thrive again. But there's a lot of work to do between now and then.
Yes, indeed. So tell us what's going on? What do you guys, how many restaurants are part of your group right now?
We have 7 restaurants plus our bakery and our distillery.
Okay. And so what happened?
Well, on March 15th, we had 1,100 employees, which is still a small business because that's spread across 7 restaurants in the bakery and the distillery. And on March 16th, we laid off 1,100 people, and it was one of the worst days of my business career. And I'm careful with saying worst because, in these times, especially worst is death. And there's other scary, worse, awful things out there. But for me, laying off 1,100 people sounds like a data point. It's not. It's 1 + 1 + 1 + 1, 1,100 times. Each of those people has a family and responsibilities. So we woke up the next day and said, what's the plan? We can either give up or we can lean in and fight. And so we created a new business. We pivoted on top of the restaurants to do market and grocery. And we've since hired back almost 300 people. And we're building this Founding Farmers market and grocery business to make sure that we can sell food to as many folks as who can buy it and also be in a position to donate as much food as we're capable of.
Wow. Okay. So tell me more about this. The thing that I think is really interesting about this is to go from restaurant to grocery is not a half step. People have gone from restaurant to meals, from caterers to a lot of other things. Restaurant to grocery is several steps. So tell me a little bit about how you got there.
Well, I'm fortunate. My business partner and I, we've worked together in the food business for a long time. And so we have a pretty extensive background in fresh food, prepared markets, shelf-stable specialty goods, catering, bakery. And so we knew that if we were going to provide free food, we promised our employees when we laid them off that we would give them free food every day. So that commitment drove us to say, well, then we have to create a business. And so you're right. It's not a half step to go from just a restaurant to market and grocery. And I think now we have over 600 items, on our menu list that folks can order on our website, and we bring it out to the curb or we deliver it to their doorstep at home. So it's, I have the easy job. I'm talking about it. I've got a team of people that are doing all of the work from recipes and packaging to e-commerce. And everybody, frankly, that is working 2 or 3 times as much as they were for 50 or 60 or 70% less salary. So it's been hard, but we had a really important goal to kind of create a whole new business model. And that's what we put our mind to. And we're not all the way there yet. It's working in some respects, but we have plenty of struggles and we make plenty of mistakes along the way. But the mission is right to want to feed the communities as much as we can.
So you said you were you offered to feed your employees that you laid off?
Yeah, this was an emotional promise and statement that my business partner and I made to everybody that we laid off. And we just said, this is awful. We know a lot of our team and a lot of people and, workers and staff, folks live paycheck to paycheck or live 2 jobs and support their families. And so we know that at the end of the day, you need food and you need shelter. Those are the 2 things. And so we said, for as long as the company exists and you're laid off and this is going on, we'll provide you free food. I woke up the next day and I thought, how are we going to do that? I mean, so it was an emotional commitment. And then we said, okay, well, that was the heart talking. Now we need the head to giddy up and figure out
And
how
make good on it.
Yeah. And we are making good on it.
Wow. Well, so, one of the things I think that this COVID-19 crisis has shown is that many of more marginalized communities are impacted disproportionately, right? So hourly wage workers are impacted in ways of losing jobs and having these impacts. One of the things that I think is interesting that I had heard as I read about this pivot was that you were determined to deliver food to all 8 wards. So talk to me about your delivery service.
So we looked around, I converted our first couple Founding Farmers locations in the suburbs in Maryland and in Northern Virginia. And then when obviously we knew we had to and wanted to do it in DC. And so we picked our location at 600 Mass Ave, which is actually Farmers and Distillers. And what we launched inside there was Founding Farmers Market. So I thought, well, it's downtown. Not everybody has cars. Not everybody can get to 600 Mass Ave Northwest. And so I looked at a map of the city and I thought, well, okay, who are the delivery partners or companies we can, and I talked to some of these companies and I've used some of these companies. Frankly, they just don't really, I couldn't quite get to anyone that had the heart or cared about. I said, well, we have to get everywhere. And I would hear things about bridges and rivers. And I'm like, you know what? This is one city. This is one city. This is one group of people. And if there's not a company out there that doesn't want to put delivery boundaries on it without charging some exorbitant amount of money, which is the same thing as saying you won't go somewhere. Oh, we'll go there, but the customer has to pay $25. Well, why don't you just tell the truth? You're not going there. Mm-hmm. So we said, let's do it ourselves. And so we hired back more of our people. We got some cheap technology for mapping and routing, and we figured it out. And so we've actually hired we hired back folks. We hired some additional DC residents that live in some of the neighborhoods that they're delivering to, so they're more familiar with them. And when folks place those delivery orders with us directly, it's our employees going there. And I just wasn't going to be stopped by a bridge or a river or anything else. We wanted to do it for a reasonable price. I think it's $6.99 is our delivery charge, and it just doesn't matter where you live.
And how's it going so far? How's it working out?
On one hand, it's going really well. I'm so incredibly proud of my team and the work that everybody has done to create this thing. And we are building sales, and that's good. On the other hand, we still, make mistakes, or we run out of product, and the supply chain is difficult. And we also have to focus a lot on workplace safety. Anybody with any symptoms stays home. We screen everybody who shows up for work. So it's, and our sales aren't quite at level. We're not cash flow positive. And so it's going well. We've decreased our losses. We're doing some things right, and we're getting a lot of compliments from guests. On the other hand, workplace safety is difficult and worth being nervous about and focusing intently on. And I have to build my sales in order to get the company. This isn't about making money. This is just about getting to break even so that we can do this for the long haul.
So what advice, do you have any advice? What advice might you give somebody that's looking at you thinking, wow, I never thought of that pivot? Or what advice might you give yourself 5 years ago?
Well, I know that so many businesses are hurt right now. And I happen to be in the food business, which is essential. And there's other businesses that, frankly, the word essential is a little bit offensive, right? Because if it's your business and you own a small business, it sure is essential to you and the people that you are supporting and serving. So I think my advice, I'm cautious with advice. I can share what works for me, or what the advice I would, as you said, given myself 5 years ago. I wake up each morning and I make a decision to kind of acknowledge my own fear and anxiety, and I sort of acknowledge it. I sometimes put a label on it, I quantify it, and then I put it in a box and slide it under my bed for the day. And that helps me so that I know that there's going to be challenges and my own anxieties, but I kind of call it out, I address it, and I do it. So that's one thing that works for me. And another thing that is working for me is I have really set aside my former approach of like really studying, making it perfect, totally understanding it, doing the analysis. This, I think, is much more about rapid entrepreneurism. Find a need and fill it, even if it's not the exact business or service that you are in. And I would say anybody that owns or runs a business, tap back into that fire and that courage and that enthusiasm that got you to start the business in the first place, and just kind of restoke that fire, set aside the anxiety, and trust yourself. You made it work once. You can adjust, change, pivot, figure out some new ways to do it, and you can make a go of it again.
So let me ask you this, but what if it fails?
There's really no such thing as failure, right? When it comes to business, like what if it fails? So if my business fails, you know what? I'll pick myself up again, or I'll reach my hand out and ask somebody else to pull me up, and I'll get back after it. I feel like for any of us, if we wake up tomorrow, we're still in the game. And so it's not about failure. It's just about trying and doing and going and continuing. Failure is just a part of winning. It's just part of the process.
Well, and Dan, I think just to underscore that point, I think right now, we're at this place where everyone is in a place where everybody needs some kind of help. There's almost nobody that is able to get through this alone. And I think that whether it is a friend, a neighbor, a business owner, we see businesses helping businesses, we see friends helping friends. We're doing this series because we want people to know that everyone is out here sort of in this together. I want anyone watching this to know that DSLBD is here to help, but I also think that we know that businesses are out there, helping each other. So, stories like this, I hope, are inspirational, but I want people to know that it is no shame in asking for help, that you're not alone if you need help, and that DSLBD is here to, if we don't have an answer, maybe help you have an answer, or be an ear to help you figure out your own solutions as we get this together. Dan, any parting thoughts as we close this out?
I would just echo your sentiment. We are in it together, and not only is there no shame in asking for help, it is the strong who can acknowledge that they are vulnerable. And when you ask for help, you give someone the chance to help you. And it's that coming together with our people and our city. That's what will get us through this. And that's where the strength comes from.
I think that's right. So I think I'll give you the last word on this. So Dan, thank you so much. And is there a website when people want to put in a delivery?
Sure. Please go to foundingfarmersmarket.com.
All right. So I'm Kristi Whitfield, the Director of the Department of Small and Local Business Development. And thanks.